The world of global finance is a complex web of numbers, but at its heart lies one critical question: what actually makes a currency strong? Today, we dive deep into the mechanics of purchasing power, exchange rates, and the economic pillars that support the world's most powerful money. Before we break down the data, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth economic documentaries and expert analysis. To understand currency strength, we must first look beyond the simple exchange rate. It is a reflection of a nation's total economic health. For centuries, currency strength was tied to physical assets, primarily gold. This was known as the gold standard, where every note was a claim on a set amount of bullion. In the 20th century, the world moved to fiat currency, money backed not by gold, but by the full faith and credit of the issuing government. Gross domestic product remains the primary pillar. A nation's ability to produce goods and services that the world wants is the foundation of its currency's value. When a country exports more, international buyers must acquire the local currency to pay for those exports, creating a natural, constant demand that drives prices up. The second pillar is interest rates. Central banks use these as a lever to control the economy. Higher rates often act as a magnet for foreign capital. Investors seek the highest risk-adjusted return. If one nation offers 5% interest while another offers 1%, capital will flow toward the higher yield, strengthening that currency. Inflation is the silent disruptor. Consistently low inflation preserves purchasing power, making a currency more attractive as a long-term store of value. We've seen the dark side of this in history. In Weimar Germany, and more recently in Zimbabwe, hyperinflation turned once strong currencies into worthless paper. When a government prints too much money to pay its debts, the currency's value evaporates, destroying the savings and stability of an entire nation. Political stability and the rule of law are the fourth pillar. Investors need to know that their property rights are protected and that the rules won't change overnight. Currencies of countries with stable democracies and transparent legal systems often trade at a stability premium compared to those in volatile regions. The balance of trade is our fifth factor. A trade surplus, where a nation sells more than it buys, is a fundamental driver of currency appreciation. Conversely, a chronic trade deficit requires a nation to sell its own currency to buy foreign goods, putting constant downward pressure on its value. The final pillar is public debt. While debt can fund infrastructure and growth, excessive borrowing can lead to a debt trap that scares away investors. If the market loses confidence in a nation's ability to repay its loans, they will dump the currency, leading to a rapid and often uncontrollable devaluation. This is where international organizations like the IMF step in. They provide emergency funding to stabilize failing currencies, but often at the cost of strict austerity measures. A bailout can stop the bleeding, but it signals to the world that a currency's strength is currently artificial, supported by international intervention rather than local health. No discussion of currency is complete without the US dollar. Since the Bretton Woods Agreement, it has served as the world's primary reserve currency. Because critical global commodities like oil and gold are priced in dollars, every nation must maintain significant dollar reserves, creating a unique global demand. This petrodollar system gives the United States an exorbitant privilege, allowing it to run large deficits while its currency remains the global standard for strength. The euro presents a different model. It is a shared currency that removed the exchange rate risk within Europe but tied the economic fates of many nations together. Its strength is a constant negotiation between the industrial might of nations like Germany and the fiscal challenges of others, making it a unique study in monetary unity. Then there is the Swiss franc. Renowned for its neutrality and banking stability, it is the world's ultimate safe haven currency. During times of global uncertainty, capital flees risky markets and pours into Switzerland. This drives the franc up, sometimes so much that the Swiss central bank must intervene to keep it from hurting their exporters. Emerging market currencies offer high growth but high risk. They are often commodity currencies, their strength tied directly to the price of their natural exports. If the price of oil or copper falls, the currencies of Brazil or Chile often fall with it, regardless of their internal economic policies. As we enter the 2020s, a new factor has emerged: digital currencies. Decentralized assets like Bitcoin are challenging the traditional monopoly of central banks. In response, many nations are developing central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, attempting to modernize their money while maintaining control over its strength and supply. Geopolitical shifts are also at play. Groups like the BRICS nations are exploring alternatives to the US dollar, which could fundamentally reshape how we define currency strength in the next decade. This trend of de-dollarization is a slow but significant process. If successful, it would distribute currency strength more broadly across multiple regional powers. Looking toward 2026, the predictors of strength are evolving. Technological leadership, especially in AI and green energy, will likely become a seventh pillar of currency value. Nations that lead in these critical technologies will attract the most investment and talent, naturally strengthening their position in the global financial hierarchy. Demographics also play a role. A young, growing, and educated workforce provides the human capital needed to sustain GDP growth and currency value over decades. Nations with rapidly aging populations may find their currencies weakening as their productive capacity shrinks and their social spending obligations grow. Finally, the sheer size of a nation's foreign exchange reserves provides a critical buffer. These reserves allow a country to defend its currency during times of speculation. When a currency is under attack by short sellers, a central bank can use its reserves to buy its own currency on the open market, supporting its price and restoring confidence. Ultimately, the strength of any currency is a psychological phenomenon. It is the collective belief of millions of people in the future stability of a nation. Without trust, the numbers on the screen and the paper in your wallet are meaningless. Trust is the invisible thread that holds the global economy together. Consider the Japanese yen. Despite decades of low growth and high debt, it remains a major global currency because of the deep trust in Japan's institutional stability. It is often used as a carry trade currency, borrowed at low rates to invest elsewhere, making its movements a key indicator of global risk appetite. The British pound was once the world's undisputed reserve currency. Its history shows us that currency leadership is not permanent and can shift as empires fade. As the center of economic gravity shifts, so does the dominance of money. What is true today for the dollar was once true for the pound and the guilder before it. A new factor is emerging in the 21st century: environmental resilience. As climate change impacts global trade, nations with sustainable energy and infrastructure will see their currencies bolstered by long-term stability. The ability to adapt to a low-carbon world is becoming a critical indicator of a nation's future productivity and, by extension, the strength of its money. Soft power, the cultural and diplomatic influence of a nation, also plays a subtle but powerful role. A country that the world admires is one where people want to live, work, and invest. This cultural pull creates an invisible demand for a nation's currency, as its brands, entertainment, and values become global standards of excellence. History is also a warning against speculative bubbles. From the tulip mania to the dot-com crash, artificial strength driven by hype always leads to a painful correction for the currency involved. Recognizing when a currency's strength is driven by fundamental health versus speculative fervor is the hallmark of a truly sophisticated economic analyst. We have covered the 6 pillars, the historical shifts, and the psychological foundations of currency. Let's summarize the key takeaways. First, the fundamentals. GDP growth, smart interest rate policy, and low inflation are the non-negotiable requirements for long-term strength. Second, the institutional factors. Political stability, a healthy balance of trade, and manageable public debt ensure that the fundamentals can be sustained. Finally, the future. Those who lead in technology and navigate the digital transition will be the ones to define the next era of currency dominance. No single factor is enough. True strength comes from the synergy of all these pillars working together to create a resilient and trusted economic system. In the end, a strong currency is not just about wealth. It is about the health of a society, the stability of its laws, and its vision for the future. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world of global finance. We hope you now see the money in your pocket with a new level of understanding. If you found this analysis valuable, please support our channel. Mention that you will subscribe before we start our next investigation, and help us grow by liking and commenting below. We appreciate your support as we continue to bring you the highest quality economic documentaries. Until next time, stay informed and stay curious.